You've lived through some major financial crises. .com, the 2008 collapse, COVID. So how does what's happening now stack up? Recently, Jamie Dimon, the longtime CEO of JPMorgan Chase, made a striking statement. In his latest annual letter to shareholders, he said this could be the most dangerous period for the global economy since World War II. That's not a throwaway comment. He outlined why he believes the U.S. could be heading straight toward a recession. He wrote, "We are facing the most complex and threatening geopolitical and economic environment since World War II." When asked directly whether he expects a recession, he answered honestly, "Probably. That's the likely outcome." In his letter, Dimon touched on several major issues: geopolitical tensions, the ballooning U.S. deficit, stubborn inflation, the potential for prolonged high interest rates, and a new era of trade wars that could put America's global position at risk. Now, look, Jamie Dimon gets his fair share of backlash. That's expected when you're one of the most powerful bankers in the world. But whether you agree with him or not, he offers a rare inside look at the heart of the financial system. And let's be real, he doesn't have to write a 59-page shareholder letter. But he did. Then he followed it up with a 30-minute interview on Fox Business, where he expanded on everything in detail. "We're in a complicated spot," he explained. "The geopolitical situation is tense. Our national debt is massive. So are many others globally. Inflation isn't going away as fast as people hoped. And we're now facing a whole new set of trade issues." Naturally, the first topic was Trump's tariff policy. Recently, Trump put a 90-day pause on new tariffs, except for China. And that's where things have escalated. The U.S. and China are now actively raising tariffs on each other, and China has fired back hard, calling America's trade strategy a joke in the world of economics. Jamie Dimon surprisingly didn't disagree. "Wanting better trade terms? That's totally fair," he said. "But Americans need to understand. We already have the strongest economy. Our GDP per person is $85,000. China's is just $15,000. Context matters." He pointed out that while the intention behind tariffs might be reasonable, the scale of implementation went way beyond expectations. That caused inflation to rise and economic growth to slow. In a recent discussion, Jamie Dimon emphasized the importance of allowing experienced negotiators, like Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, whom he holds in high regard, to spearhead trade negotiations on behalf of the U.S. To restore stability and confidence in the markets, it's essential to demonstrate genuine progress. Complex trade agreements require the expertise of seasoned professionals, he noted. Dimon's key message was clear. Instead of implementing sweeping tariffs indiscriminately, the U.S. government should adopt a more nuanced approach, engaging in targeted negotiations tailored to specific trade partnerships. Each trade partner possesses unique dynamics, and lumping them together under identical policies can jeopardize critical alliances, many of which are vital to U.S. interests. A recent viral video highlighted this very concern, showcasing Australia, a nation with which the U.S. enjoys a significant trade surplus and a solid security partnership, being subjected to unexpected tariffs. When a U.S. senator was pressed for justification, their shaky rationale pointed to perceived trade imbalances and restrictions on imports of beef and pork, prompting the incredulous response, "You're smarter than that answer." This incident underscored the point Dimon was making, reflecting a concerning trend in U.S. trade policy. Rather than isolating key allies, Dimon argued it is essential for the U.S. to fortify its trade relationships, particularly given its ongoing reliance on China for critical commodities. These include rare earth metals, which are essential for a range of industries, as well as electronics and pharmaceutical components, resources that are crucial not just for consumer goods, but also for national defense. With the right strategy, we can avoid further escalation of trade tensions, Dimon cautioned. Trade wars can spiral quickly out of control. Countries like China and Russia aren't concealing their intentions. They aspire to redefine the global balance of power. Instead of distancing ourselves from our allies, we must bring them closer, particularly as we enhance our military capabilities. It is imperative that any products related to national security are sourced domestically, rather than outsourced to foreign entities. He further highlighted the alarming statistic that approximately 74% of the U.S.'s rare earth imports, integral for manufacturing everything from electric vehicles and smartphones to advanced military fighter jets and missile systems, originated from China. The ramifications of a disruption in these supplies could be catastrophic for American industries and national security alike. Dimon's prescription for remedying this situation is clear. The U.S. must prioritize manufacturing critical goods domestically, or cultivate reliable partnerships with trustworthy allies, steering clear of adversarial nations. This strategic pivot means moving away from broad, sweeping tariffs and instead focusing on crafting specific, strategic trade agreements, enhancing military collaboration, and fostering long-term partnerships. If the U.S. fails to take decisive action, it risks leaving a power vacuum that ambitious nations like China are ready to exploit. He summarized his perspective succinctly. Not all industries are of equal importance. While sneakers may not pose a significant concern, the stakes are drastically different for weapons systems and pharmaceuticals. It's essential to keep our allies closely aligned, both economically and militarily. Dimon stressed that countries like Russia, Iran, and North Korea benefit when the West fractures. And if that happens, it might lead to what he fears most: the long, slow unraveling of the post-World world order. I don't want to be reading the history book someday titled How the West Was Lost. So what does all this mean in the short term? Beyond geopolitics, tariffs hurt consumers. They push prices up, on both imported and domestic goods, because of rising production costs. This is the last thing anyone wants in a time of persistent inflation. In his letter, Dimon wrote, "Whatever you think about the reasoning behind the new tariffs, the short-term effect will be inflation. Costs will rise not just on imports, but across the board as domestic demand increases and supply chains adjust. That's one of the reasons why he's concerned about a potential 2025 recession." During the Fox interview, he was asked whether JPMorgan is seeing signs of a slowdown. He acknowledged that while consumers are still spending and businesses are still making profits, much of that growth was artificially fueled by the $11 trillion in pandemic-era government spending. That stimulus is fading now. Companies are starting to pull back, he said. They're tightening hiring, cutting back investments, preparing for uncertainty. Are there loan defaults yet? Not yet, he replied. But I expect them. He warned that we've gone so long without a proper credit cycle, people have forgotten what it looks like. If interest rates stay elevated and inflation remains sticky, credit spreads will widen. And that's when loan defaults begin to spike. In plain terms, a credit crunch could be coming. Borrowing becomes tougher, riskier borrowers can't keep up, and the system starts to creak. So from where he sits, at the helm of the largest bank in America, Jamie Dimon sees warning signs, serious ones. "It's not that we're in trouble," he said, "but we're tightening up too. Not because we have to, but because it's good discipline, like going for a run or eating your spinach." So do you personally think we're heading into a recession? Dimon didn't dodge it. "I'll leave that to our economists, but yes, I think that's a very possible outcome. And if we want to reduce the uncertainty, fixing trade issues would be a smart place to start. We've got the strongest economy in the world,